everybody. I am Tanya Maddox, and welcome to Montrose Matters Live. We've got an amazing show for you today, and I know I say that every week, but I'm kind of excited about this one, Cameron. So we have Cameron Yarberry, who owns Ambioc, and we're going to do so many fun things today that I hope you guys are just ready for it. But before we get to that, there's lots of events going on in Montrose, and it is like, oh my gosh, the floodgates open.
Oh yeah.
So let's see what events we have coming up. And starting on the tonight, actually, this one isn't on the slide. Cameron, isn't there like a concealed and carry class that's going on tonight?
Yeah, so we got a concealed carry class tonight from 6 to 10.
6 to 10. Can people still register for that?
Yep, absolutely.
Great.
Yep.
Okay, so if you want to go to ambioc.com and you can sign up for that concealed and carry class tonight. And then on June 12th, there is a fun event called Funk Fest. Do you know what Funk stands for?
I think it's fun on the Uncompahgre, right?
Oh, most people don't get that.
Yeah.
Yes, the city puts on Funk Fest every year. It's fun on the Uncompahgre River. They have so many events planned. There are going to be vendor booths out there. Are you going to be there?
I am. Yep, I'll have a booth there. So.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, so we can come see what Ambioc is all about at the Funk Fest. And then on June 17th, all of these awesome business owners get together for a Power Players Luncheon. And we have none other than Nathan Perry as our guest speaker. Nathan is a local economist, and he is going to just give us a little bit of information on where our local economy is going to be going. So that is on June 17th. And then for all those fathers out there, my goodness.
Yep.
Father's Day is coming up, and Grace Community Church knows that the way to a man's heart is through his stomach. So they've got all of these food trucks coming out to Grace. They're going to have an outside service, and all the dads get a coupon for a meal on Father's Day. So that's going to be an awesome event. And, the MEDC luncheon. I think it's been 2 years. Do you know what MEDC is?
I do not, actually.
Oh, so it's the Montrose Economic Development Corporation, and they help bring companies and so forth here to Montrose. And they have a big annual event that is happening on the 24th. So
Sweet.
It's a sellout crowd, and in fact, I think the event might be sold out already, but that is coming up on the 24th. For these events and more, you can go to events.ourtownmatters.net. And if you have events that you'd like us to display, you just let us know. So next time you'll let me know about concealed and carry so I can get that on the calendar.
Yep.
Okay. Because you have one every month, right?
Pretty much, about so. Yep.
Pretty much. All right, we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we get to talk to Cameron Yarberry.
All right.
Employees, and we were in a double wide trailer with 4 exam rooms. So that's where we started, behind an elementary school. Really focused on taking care of those children. It was a school-based clinic prior to us becoming an FQHC. But very quickly, we realized the community needed a lot more support, a lot more access to healthcare. So in the last 8 years, we've grown to 3 different sites. We have 104 employees now, and we're taking care of about 6,600 unique patients a year.
In Colorado, we're not afraid of rolling up our sleeves and doing what's right. So work hard today so we can enjoy tomorrow. So we can take pride in knowing we gave our best. So at the end of the day, we can all gather at the table and know we grew this together. That's why Alpine Bank is proud to call Colorado home. After all, everything we need is right here. You are Colorado. So are we.
Okay, so Cameron, I was so excited to chat with you that I think I breezed through all of those events. I was talking like a maniac, wasn't I?
Yeah, a little bit.
You didn't warn me then. So, Ambioc, tell
Yes.
us, what a name, what is it, and where are you? And
Yeah. So so the name actually, I guess basically made it up. I actually started with a different name, and then unfortunately realized that there was a conflict there with my initial name, so I ended up having to change it.
Oh, really? Okay.
So then I was like, okay, I need a name that is totally unique and is nowhere else. So I decided to basically create Ambioc, and it comes from 2 Latin roots. So I actually have, I shouldn't say a background, but a little bit of interest studying etymology, which is the study of the breakdown of words and their roots and what they mean.
It's not the study of bugs. That's
no, that's different. So I decided to choose. I wanted, the inspiration was kind of a little bit from spirituality and non-duality, which is kind of an idea in spirituality, which basically means neutrality and not getting caught up with one perspective, basically.
I see. Okay.
And not only that, but also just in general kind of neutrality with everything that's been going on politically and all that stuff. So, so I decided to come up with a word that basically meant that. So ambi means both, and that's a Latin root, and then oc comes from another Latin root, which is ocu actually, which means to see. So it basically means both seen, like both sides seen or both perspectives seen is what it means.
I like that.
Yeah, it's actually kind of cool because it's only a 7-letter word, but if you Google it, I mean, there's like literally nothing. My company's the only, which is actually kind of cool. So.
And it rolls off your tongue.
Yeah.
Ambioc.
Yeah.
So okay, so Ambioc was formed in January of this year.
Yeah, January, and I'm just located, I've got a building right across from Walmart, kind of behind the stone house there. It's actually in that big blue pediatric dentist building, so I'm just, so I'm just the other unit in there, and it's a really nice space actually, and the whole kind of idea was to basically offer what you could consider kind of life skill classes or classes that empower people and increase their kind of general practical knowledge in life. So stuff like concealed carry and firearms training and safety and medical classes such as CPR and first aid. And eventually I'm looking to really kind of broaden the scope of the classes that I offer. So I've got a presentation right now on off-grid living and just kind of some basic education about that. And I want to move into some wilderness safety and kind of almost survival skills and stuff like that. So I kind of want to really branch out and hit all those topics. And then I've got some gear to sell as well. So after people take classes, they can load up a little bit.
Oh, really? I guess I did it backwards because I came in and I just looked at your gear before taking a class.
That's an option too. And I guess I should retract a little bit. So initially, that was the focus. The big focus was on the classes. And then I kind of figured that I would just have a little bit of stuff for sale that people could pick up. And then kind of after discussing with some buddies and stuff, they kind of suggested that I really focus more on that storefront to also just help get people in and just to have cool stuff that people would be interested in around here. So now I've kind of not shifted focus, but I've also really added more focus on that storefront. And now, people come in pretty regularly just to the storefront just to pick up some medical gear or buy a rifle case or whatever it is. So.
Well, and you have food as well.
Dehydrated meals.
meals. And when I saw them, I was like, oh, that looks good. I couldn't cook that on my best day. And they came in these little packs. So dehydrated meals, and then you're wearing this T-shirt of this brand of coffee that I have come to love. So tell us about Black Rifle Coffee.
Yeah, so Black Rifle Coffee, a pretty good amount of people are actually familiar with it. It's kind of got, I guess I shouldn't say like a cult following, but they've really blown up as a company.
I'm part of a cult now because I got to tell you, these little pods, this is how I start my day.
They're pretty slick. So they've really blown up. It's all a veteran-owned company. I think they have a lot of their proceeds that go towards helping veterans and stuff like that.
Okay.
And I mean it's good coffee. They do cool stuff. They're funny people, patriotic people, which I think is cool. And I've never heard anyone complain about one of their cups yet. So.
All right. So you offer the Keurig. They can buy the Keurig coffee pods as well as ground coffee in your location?
Yeah. So I mostly have bags of ground or whole bean, but I have a couple boxes that have those single serve deals, and I can always, of course, pick up more of those depending on what people are interested in.
Well, I know we're going to need some more in the Our Town Matters Business Center because we might only have 2 pods left. So your partnerships, when you think about bringing in your retail items and things like coffee and so forth, it is geared towards who? The survivalist or the everyday person who is just help me understand because I don't want to put words in your mouth.
No,
but
totally.
Who you're gearing this towards and why?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I'm glad you asked that one.
Oh, well, thank you.
So, what I want with this whole thing is I want kind of like practical, everyday application of this stuff with the ability to apply it to kind of more of those extreme scenarios, if that makes sense.
I see.
So in other words, if you take a concealed carry or class, or you take a CPR first aid class, we don't have to be living in like the zombie days for you to apply that stuff. I mean,
Is that real? Really? The
Yeah,
zombie apocalypse?
I know,
Come on.
It's- they've made a lot of movies about
They
it.
have.
So I want stuff where people can use it in every day. I mean, I was just looking on Facebook just the other day, last week, and someone was posting on the message board about someone who they knew had gone into cardiac arrest, and luckily they had someone there at the restaurant where it happened who helped, and I think just provided comfort. I'm not sure if they actually did CPR or anything like that, but helped until EMTs arrived, which is awesome. So they were basically thanking that person. And the same day, I also met with another lady I had a meeting with, and they had gone out for Memorial Day weekend and were going camping, and someone in their crew had a heart attack and passed away, which is awful. But the point being that this stuff does happen. I had to, just a little over a year and a half ago, I actually had to perform the Heimlich maneuver on a friend of mine, a very good friend of mine, who started choking and almost got to the point where she became unconscious, which was very scary. But luckily that turned out okay. So
these are true life skills. I mean, they can help the survivalists if that's what their goals are. But someone who's just living right here in Montrose, Colorado.
Well, and you know, I mentioned that I had the presentation on off-grid living. You know, I've lived off-grid here for a few years now. And you would never know it when you came up to my place unless you just saw the solar panels. But I have a normal size house. I live normally. I've got TVs and all that good stuff.
Really?
Yeah.
I have one TV in my house. You have multiple.
I have a couple TVs.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't watch them very much.
Maybe I'm off grid in the burbs over here.
Yeah. But the point being with that is that, you know, again, like, you don't have to live off grid to be some crazy survivalist and hoarding all this food or anything. You can just, I mean, if something happens, I have that peace of mind that my freezer is going to keep my meat cold and all that good stuff.
Right.
It's maybe a little bit more of a peace of mind thing, but I would consider that to be practical and not that kind of like paranoid, you know, survivalist. But I mean, not that there's anything wrong with that either. I mean, I think based off of what's been going on lately, I think that that's not so weird anymore, if that makes sense. But,
isn't that odd that what we used to consider weird is the norm?
We're living in funky times.
Yes, we
right
are.
now, for sure. But,
gosh. So tell us about, you know, you have a unique skill set. So Cameron, tell us about you. How did you grow up? How did you get here to this place in life, both literally and figuratively?
Yeah, I don't want to necessarily say that I have some crazy big skill set. I myself, I guess, would say that I have some knowledge about a lot of areas versus, you know, I don't really have an expertise in any area, but I just consider myself a decently well-rounded person. But
anyone who talks to him for 5 seconds will know that is not true.
So I consider myself that I grew up, I wasn't born there, but I basically grew up in Montana.
Okay.
So my dad was always kind of good about forcing me to go outside and do stuff and fish with him and all that stuff, which I obviously liked it, but I didn't really have the passion and the drive that I do now to actually go do it by myself, if that makes sense. So I always liked when I went out fly fishing with him and stuff like that. I just never really, you know, got way into it, but it was still awesome, and he kind of got me out of my shell a little bit, made me quit being a little weird teenager that just wanted to play video games all day, right?
I'm going to have to remember that in about 5 years when Preston becomes a teenager.
Yeah. And then I went to school in Fort Collins. I kind of got out of Montana. I wanted to experience something new and ended up getting a scholarship to CSU, and just kind of decided to go for that. So I went there and actually I studied construction management there. It's kind of a weird path. So I studied construction management and got my bachelor's, and then kind of just almost had a bad taste in my mouth from that, or I just wasn't really sure if that was what I wanted to do. I didn't want to commit to that, if that makes sense. So I actually worked for a year and a half or so with disabled folks in Fort Collins. So I was working with people with like Down syndrome and stuff like that. Just we had a kind of a program where they were able to take some of the funding that they get from the government and basically take them out and just do fun stuff and hang out together. It was pretty fun, actually. It was really cool. So
one of my fondest memories is my sorority always sponsored Special Olympics, and I was an official hugger. Like that was a job. When they finished running, it's like I gave them a hug, and there's something special about that.
Oh yeah, there's a special place in my heart for those people. They're some of the funnest people actually to hang out with. They're pretty awesome. So, and I had met some really good friends who are still what I would basically consider my best friends to this day in college, who I started getting into hunting with. And of course, I'm kicking myself for never hunting in Montana, but that's all right. So they started getting me into elk hunting, and we had taken trips out here, actually. This is where those guys like to come. So even it was seven-hour drive, but we'd still come out here and hunt take the week off, and see if we could put an elk on the ground. So
that's what it's called. I'm learning all new slang today. Put an elk on the ground.
Yeah. So started doing that, and then I just kind of started to fall in love with this place, and I had gotten to the point where I was ready to.
Do, I love Montrose.
I know, and I got to the point where I was ready to leave Fort Collins, and I kind of didn't totally know where I wanted to go, and then I just kind of on a whim decided to look at some property out here, and so I ended up finding a place I really liked, and then decided that I was going to build my own place on it. And
there you go. And then, so Ambioc was born from that. You weren't going to go back into construction management. You were.
Well, I didn't really go back into construction management. I actually worked some construction here, just doing more carpentry type stuff. And obviously, I built my house, so I got plenty of hands-on experience.
Oh, obviously, he built his house because we all do that.
Sorry.
Really?
Well, I had some help. I had plenty of help, but
when the zombies come, I'm going to your house. Okay.
You're not the only one, so. Yeah, we'll get you hooked up with a nice little AR platform, and you can help defend the zombies.
Okay.
You'll be on shift.
I can do that. Seriously, if I take one of your concealed carry classes,
you don't need to conceal when there's zombies.
When there's zombies.
You don't need to worry about that.
Good point. Good point.
Yeah. So I had kind of started doing that stuff, and it's kind of the same thing where it's not like I didn't enjoy the work, but it's just kind of like it's not what I wanted to do, and it's not what I'm passionate about, if that makes sense. And I'm kind of that type of person where I can put up with that for an amount of time, but I really need something that drives me and something that maybe I can be creative with and all that stuff. So I kind of started to feel like I wanted to create a business, and I just wasn't really sure what. I knew that I wanted to help people for sure.
Right.
I wanted to have a positive impact. And I just kind of wasn't sure what I wanted to do, and then it's weird how it all transpired. I can't even really fully explain it. It's just kind of like all of a sudden it clicked, and I just decided that I wanted to have some sort of organization where I pulled in a bunch of different instructors or just people who are experts in their fields and kind of bring them into one place where people can learn all these various skills in one place. And it seemed like there wasn't a whole lot of that out there. It seemed like usually, you go to this place if you want to learn about guns, and you go to this place if you want to learn medical stuff or whatever it is. And
that's where you are now.
And that's where I am now.
You're obviously passionate about it, because if you got any more passionate, I might have to move away here.
That's a good thing.
So a startup, easy, right?
Not so much, I don't think. Yeah, it's challenging.
It's not. It just doesn't happen overnight, and
nope, sadly not, unless you get really lucky.
Exactly.
Whoever invented the pet rocks probably did pretty well.
Well, I think you're going to be just fine. We're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, you have some really cool things to show us.
Yeah,
right?
heck yeah, absolutely.
Okay, and guess what, guys? There's a gun here. We're going to
There's a couple, actually.
There's a couple. Oh. See what happens when you have a concealed and carry?
Yep.
Couple. We're going to take a quick break. We are just going to thank our sponsors. We could not do this without Elevate Fiber, without Alpine Bank, and without River Valley Family Health Centers, which I might need if he brings these guns out anymore. But we'll be right back. Thank you.
All right.
Do you imagine taking your business to the next level? You can stop imagining. We can help make it a reality. Helping businesses elevate their brand is our business. Contact Our Town Matters today for a free marketing evaluation and consultation. Call 970-765-0913 or visit ourtownmatters.net.
Believe it, just like Gigfoot, Zero Lag Gaming does exist. The real myth now? Slow internet made you lose. So step up your game with Elevate Internet today.
Welcome back. We are here with Cameron Yarberry from Ambioc. Ambioc, I just really like saying that now.
It's a fun word.
So, I knew that you were coming today and that you were like this outdoorsy guy. And I tried to do something special for you, but I don't even know if you noticed. I tried to find the manliest mug I could find in the building, and I found one with a bear on it. Do you feel welcomed?
I feel like a man.
Do you? Okay,
I feel like I could fight a bear right now if I needed to.
So, and me and my Alpine Bank mug, but that's okay. So, listen, you brought some props with you. I wanted to go to your concealed carry.
Yep.
How many people say concealed and carry besides me?
I think you're the only one that I've heard. What's special about you?
There are many things special about me, Cameron. But the concealed carry class, I wanted to go to that tonight, but there's this thing that I do once a month. It's called FAC. And it's Friday afternoon cocktails. And so there are a bunch of women who get together the first Friday of every month. And so we'll be doing that tonight. But can you show me what I might miss?
Yeah. So we can talk about that. That's actually not going to be used at this class tonight, but I can describe a little bit about how the class runs.
So you pointed to something that's on the table, but I don't think anybody can see it. Would you mind picking it up?
So this is an option that we have. I'm just going to stand up really quick. So this is an option that we have actually. So this can be used as a trainer. Right now, ammo is obviously crazy expensive and hard to find. So this is actually a Glock certified BB trainer. So it just shoots BBs, and we have a little room in our building where people can train with it.
Your room is not little. I've seen it. It's
huge.
I mean, that building is huge.
Yeah, the building is big. So people can either rent this hourly, or we can use this with our instructors who do private training. And eventually, I do want to get to where I start incorporating this into my longer concealed carry class. So this one tonight's a 4-hour class, so it's kind of like the shorter version, which would be a little bit cheaper. And
so can I pick this up?
You may.
Okay.
Just don't shoot anybody.
I'm not going to shoot anyone. It's heavy.
Yeah,
it's like a real.
It's got the same weight. It's endorsed by Glock. It actually uses CO2, so it has blowback. So right there, you just killed me.
Sorry. Oh, but I was.
So one of my instructors, the best.
This?
Oh, that's just a holster.
Okay. It's slanted.
Yeah, so depending on how people like to carry, some people like to have the gun almost kind of pointed forward, so it's a more natural, so when they reach their hand back, your hand is almost kind of naturally pointing at that angle, so then you can come there.
See, I learned something already.
Yeah.
Can I get a certificate?
I have to go to one of the classes, and then you will.
Darn, okay.
Yeah. So eventually I want to have a longer concealed carry class where we get into more scenarios, a lot more type of stuff like that in defensive scenarios. The one tonight is obviously still a great class. It's just a little bit more condensed and a little bit cheaper. But there's still good hands-on stuff. So the instructor passes around a bunch of guns. He wants to make sure you know every part on the gun and how it works and how it functions and how to handle it safely, which of course is very important. And then he gets into a little bit of scenario stuff and a little bit of like drawing and all that stuff. So
okay, and then so after the class, even this short one like tonight, then you get a certificate that Ambioc provides, and then an individual like myself, don't go running screaming, but I could take that to the sheriff's department and get a concealed and carry.
Yeah, so you're going to take it to your local sheriff's office, and then they're just going to fingerprint you and run your background check and put your information into a database wherever it goes, and then you just.
I'm already in a database.
Yeah, I think we all are at this point. And then I'm not sure what the time is right now. I'll have to double check on that, but it's been delayed based off of just there's so many people applying, and I think they've been kind of short-staffed or whatever for running all this stuff. So times are a little bit longer than normal, but and then once you get that, you're good to carry a handgun concealed. Actually, you're actually not legally allowed to carry what would be considered a concealed knife that hits their requirements as far as like length and stuff like that. Okay. So it's actually a concealed handgun permit is actually what it is.
So how do you get, because you have like this fancy thing in your pocket. I've seen it before. I saw it when you walked in.
Yes,
Show me this.
Yeah, so this is actually, it's a Spyderco knife, which I actually have just recently gotten hooked up as a Spyderco dealer as well, which is super cool. They are very popular. And then
see, I'm gonna back here because I've seen you do this before.
Yeah, and then one of my instructors actually is pretty clever with the 3D printing and stuff. So he's basically used CAD programs and stuff to make it so that the Spyderco folding knife can turn into a quick draw, kind of like a karambit style knife, so you can pull it out nice and fast and open that box as quick as possible. So it's pretty cool.
Drew, when we need a box opened, we need to.
It's actually a really unique product, and he's actually going. There's a event called Blade Show that's coming up this weekend, I think it is, and it's basically like the biggest blade knife show in the country.
Okay.
So he's gonna be going to that and kind of demonstrating some of his products, and I think he's probably going to get some attention. So it's pretty cool.
Great.
Yeah, it's a pretty unique thing. That
I wonder if Spyderco knows that he's doing that with his knife. That would be...
You know, I've told my rep about it, and I kind of actually want to send her one, you know, just so that she can see it, because I mean it's pretty slick, you know, and the material, it's not just like crappy. I mean that little ring, this ring is like 1/8 of an inch thick, and if I squeeze as hard as I can't move it even, and it's heat resistant and all that, so it's pretty cool.
So you sell the Spyderco knives in, at Ambioc, but to have that special gadget on it, is that something you can have done?
Yeah, so I'm getting now to where I'm keeping several of these already built up, so.
Okay.
Excuse me. So people can buy them already converted, which is honestly seems like that's what people want. So.
That's good to know. So what else do you have here? It looks like a first aid kit.
Yeah, so this stuff's really exciting. This has actually been some of my more popular stuff as well. So so basically I have it kind of set up so that people can build their own first aid kits and their own trauma kits. As far as I'm aware, I think that I'm the only person selling like tourniquets and actual real trauma gear here in Montrose. I think there might be somebody else, but not that I'm aware of. And so basically I have just kind of a whole wall of, you know, a couple different pouches, and as well as ankle holsters that people can outfit based off of, you know, what their needs are and what they're trained on and all that good stuff. So this one is just kind of like a sample kit that I have hanging up on my wall. So this has an Israeli bandage, and it has a cat tourniquet, and then it's got a twin pack of chest seals. So that would kind of cover most of the trauma type encounters that you might run into.
And this is just a handy little pack, so it looks like it can go on a backpack or strap to a
so
belt
it's got
or something.
so it's kind of got these loops that you can run around, straps or whatever, and then it's actually got Velcro, so it's what they call rip away. So you can actually, if this was attached to like someone else's pack or something, you needed it really fast, you could just grab this handle and just rip it off and do what you need to do. So it's kind of slick.
Huh, that is. I like that.
So.
Need to get a logo put on that one.
I know, yeah. And then this one too. So this is actually what I carry every day. So this is an ankle kit. And it's got basically the same stuff. It's got a tourniquet, a 4x4 emergency dressing, and chest seals, and then some quick clot stuff as well.
You carry this every day on your ankle because when you got here and you said, "Oh, let me bring out this out," and I was thinking, "What in the world?"
Yeah.
So you get up, you get dressed in the morning, you put your shoes and socks on,
all my
and
stuff on. Yeah. It's a little bit much,
ready.
but it's, you know, I just kind of decided to, you know, I've not always been like this. I just kind of decided lately that I just wanted to be kind of that person that's pretty well prepared for those scenarios that you run into, even if it's a car wreck. I mean, I want to run there and help. I don't care if I, you know, even it might be something that I can't do anything, but I want to try, if that makes sense. So.
That's amazing. You know, and you're right. I didn't even think about it. Even a car wreck or someone falling off a bicycle, or you know,
it happens all the time.
It does, and you just said you wanted to be prepared, and this is why you're doing this.
Yeah, 100%.
Wow.
And I want other people to be prepared too. I want to encourage people when this type of stuff happens to not only have the stuff to be prepared, but also to have that mentality and that training to where they feel confident that they can do something. Yes. That when their friend is choking at a wedding reception, that they can. I mean, I jumped up immediately, and you know, I didn't even have to think about it. And you know, I'm not gonna say I saved her life, because actually what ended up happening was I was doing the Heimlich maneuver on her for like 30 seconds. And she was getting close to passing out, and another gentleman came behind me, because she's like my height and she's wearing heels, and you have to be able to go kind of in and up.
Right.
And so I was doing it hard, you know, but I was probably not getting that upward force enough.
Yes.
And so a guy who was taller and probably weighed 210 pounds came up behind me, who also happened to be trained, and kind of brushed me out of the way, and in about 5 seconds that thing popped out.
Wow.
But I mean, if him and myself were not able. I mean, there's a very good chance she could have either died or she could have been a different person.
Exactly.
Based off of the lack of oxygen.
Oh
if that
my
makes sense.
gosh.
Very scary to think about.
It is. I don't even want to think about that. You know what? I was just thinking here a few minutes ago. Montana's loss is Montrose's gain. We are so happy that you are here, Cameron. Ambioc, guys, go in, take a look at the retail store, sign up for a class, and just go in and say hi to Cameron.
Yeah.
He might pour you a cup of coffee.
Yeah, I will, absolutely.
Is there anything I just was absolutely remiss and didn't ask you about today, Cameron?
Well, there's
Say
a
no,
lot that I
because
could.
I'm pretty perfect.
Yeah.
And, you know.
There's a lot that I could talk about, but I think that pretty well covers most of it today. So.
Well, let's get everybody into Ambioc on Townsend, right behind the Stone House, and you can tell them everything you want to tell them.
Sounds great.
Thanks for being on the show,
Yeah,
Cameron.
thank you. Thanks
You're
for having
welcome.
me.
Thank you, Alpine Bank. Thank you so much, Elevate Fiber, and thank you, River Valley Family Health, for underwriting Montrose Matters Live. We'll see you next week.